Hello guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to my channel. Today we're here with another installment of This Week in Motorsport. Though I'm thinking of changing the name to This Week in Single Seaters, only because that's what I cover at the moment. If you guys do want me to cover endurance racing, MotoGP, anything like that, leave me a comment. And talking about comments, I really do appreciate it if you guys could give this video a like, or you could comment on it, or subscribe to my channel at all. And I appreciate all the support on my last video as well. So let's get started. This week we saw the Singapore Grand Prix, which was a great race. We saw the end to Red Bull's 15-win streak and Max Verstappen's 10-win streak through Carlos Sainz, with Ferrari taking the win. He took pole position that weekend, topping 4 out of 5 sessions, and then took the win. It was definitely a difficult race. Tyre strategy played a major part, with lots of drivers going on different tyre strategies, and that's what made the race so interesting. I remember the top 4 before George Russell had crashed out. We had 3 different tyre strategies, and I feel like that's what Formula One is about. A lot of times when watching races, we don't see a lot of differences in terms of tyre strategy. It was quite interesting though, because some drivers definitely got the wrong end of the stick. Charles Leclerc, who was looking for a podium this race weekend, actually ended up having very bad tyre strategy, with Max Verstappen even catching him at the end of the race. So we saw Carlos Sainz win the race, Lando Norris complete another podium where he finished P2, and Lewis Hamilton finished P3 after his teammate George Russell crashed out on the last lap. It was honestly a crazy race and I really enjoyed it. We saw Liam Lawson also take his first point in that AlphaTauri, finishing P9, and after that race weekend, we've seen a lot of discussions about whether Liam Lawson will get a full-time seat in Formula One. This race weekend at Suzuka is seemingly going to be Liam Lawson's last race of this F1 season, as we expect to see Daniel Ricciardo return at Qatar. We also saw Oscar Piastri pull off an amazing performance, qualifying P17 after Lance Stroll's heavy shunt during qualifying, but ending up finishing P7, being the race's biggest mover, making up 10 positions. It was a continuation of an unlucky streak for Yuki Tsunoda. We saw him in Monza not even start the race after his car broke down on the formation lap, and then at Singapore, he didn't even complete the first lap, so hopefully his home race at Suzuka will go great for him. He's looking for some point scoring positions, especially with many people speculating that Liam Lawson will actually be taking Yuki Tsunoda's seat, meaning that it will be a lineup of Liam Lawson and Daniel Ricciardo for the 2024 season, with Yuki Tsunoda moving into a bit more of a reserve role. Contracts though, contracts. We saw Zhou Guanyu continue his contract with Alfa Romeo, extending it for the 2024 season. Many were surprised, expecting Teo Pourchaire, who's currently leading the Formula 2 Championship, to get that seat. Instead, he'll be remaining as the Alfa Romeo reserve driver. I'm expecting him to maybe get a seat in 2025 or the future. We also saw another contract, a big contract. Oscar Piastri is remaining with McLaren until the end of the 2026 season, just showing how amazing his rookie season has truly been. I think his best race was probably Silverstone, where he finished P4, but he's been impressing so much that people almost forget that he's a rookie because he's performing like someone who's been in Formula One for 3 to 4 years. But let's talk a bit about the race. We have 53 laps around the 5.8km Suzuka Inter-Racing course. The first F1 race held here was in 1987, and we have 18 different corners, 10 to the right and 8 to the left. We have a mixture of speeds, with some being high speed, such as 130R, and some being slow speed, such as the hairpin. It's also the only race on the calendar to have a figure of 8 layout. Though it's expected to be a dry race, it will still be very difficult, with the ERS, also known as the Energy Recovering System, being extremely critical at this circuit. The hybrid systems of modern Formula One cars are going to be perfect, as they have a high power output. The teams will be looking to maximise on power and traction, with the engines running at maximum revs for 65% of each lap. At last year's race, we saw Max Verstappen take his 12th win of the season. Though Charles Leclerc finished P2 on track, he got a 5-second penalty for cutting the final chicane and was demoted to P3, whereas Sergio Perez took P2. There was torrential rain, and people such as Carlos Sainz ended up actually aquaplaning. And then we saw a moment where the tractor was brought on track and Pierre Gasly passed at speed. This had a very emotional response, with people having terrible memories of Jules Bianchi, who passed away due to an incident at the track. But looking towards this year's race, despite Red Bull having a poor showing at Singapore, with both cars being out in Q2, with Max Verstappen qualifying P11 and Sergio Perez qualifying P13, they're expected to go back to their old form in time for Suzuka. As I said, it's Yuki's home race, so he'll be looking to have a good performance, and Carlos Sainz will be looking to continue on his good form after his win at Singapore. But let's move on to Formula Regional European Championship, because we had a lot of drama going down, especially in race 2. This weekend, Formula Regional European Championship was back, with round 8 at Monza, also known as the Temple of Speed. Going into this race, Kimi Antonelli was leading the championship from Martini and Stentorn. Going into the race weekend, Kimi Antonelli was the favourite, but it was his teammate Rafael Camara who would go pole, and then during the race, Alessandro Gusti would take the win. It was a first-time podium for Victor Bernier, and then our pole sitter Rafael Camara would finish P3. Unfortunately for Kimi, race 1 would provide no points as he used his push-to-pass system too early, and the race stewards gave him a penalty, which left him in P11. But going into the next race, it was time for him to make up for these lost points. He went pole position and had a great race. However, Rafael Camara on track was the faster driver, even overtaking Kimi Antonelli. However, there was an incident between Pierre Provost and Tom Leben at Lesmo 2. This caused the race stewards to call out the safety car as the cars were stranded on track and eventually waved the red flag. We expected the race to resume, but unfortunately they had to end the race with 5 minutes and 1 lap left on the clock. Despite this, we expected Rafael Camara to take the win, but the race stewards announced that they would reverse the race by 1 lap, meaning that Kimi Antonelli would take the win. Many found this a bit unfair, saying that the race stewards were biased towards Kimi Antonelli. Though of course they weren't biased towards him. The race before, he literally got taken out the points. I do think it is a question about motorsport, as it can be seen as quite unfair, but that's the thing with motorsport, it's both unpredictable and not everyone can win. On track, it's clear to see that Rafael Camara did win the race, but this is how motorsport is, and hopefully at the next race next month in Zandvoort, Rafael Camara will be able to prove himself and take that win. In terms of the rest of the podium, it was Tim Tramnitz who had finished P3 and Rafael and Kimi's teammate Lorenzo Flusha who had finished P4, nearly creating an all-Prema podium. On to miscellaneous news, which is my favourite section. Alex Albon is tipped to be racing in the 2024 IMSA 24 Hours at Daytona. He's expected to be racing in the GTP category, and let's see how this F1 driver fares in endurance racing, even if it's only for one race. We've seen Fernando Alonso win 24 Hours of Daytona back in 2019, so let's see how Alex Albon races, and hopefully this is true. Oliver Askew will be taking part in an IndyCar test with ECR. The 26-year-old American-Swedish driver has previously been crowned the Indy Lights champion. Most recently, he raced in Formula E with Avalanche Andretti, but he's never competed a full season of IndyCar. It's expected that if he does well in this test, he could be a name involved in the IndyCar driver market. And final piece of news, we have a new addition to the Williams F1 Driver Academy, and Alexander Bondarev. Alexander is a 14-year-old Ukrainian karter, and he most recently was announced as the FIA European Karting Champion. He'll be a great addition to the Williams Driver Academy, especially as they look to build up more talent from the bottom up, especially in the grassroots of karting. But that's all, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and let's look to the race weekend ahead. Bye!